the show, Mr. Azam.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay, so you've been living in the United Kingdom for quite a while now. Today we're going to talk about specifically about the role of police. What exactly is the job description of police? People who work in the police department. What do they do? What they can do? What they cannot do? Could you shed some light on how it's done in the United Kingdom? And then we're going to talk about how it's done in Bangladesh. It's just our observation, what we have seen, what we have experienced in the United States, in the United Kingdom, also in Bangladesh, how far policing can go and how far they do actually take it. Yeah, please.
Well, very, very, very interesting topic. Quite a rather difficult one too, I'd have to say. First of all, I'd like to clarify one thing that I have been brought up in Bangladesh. I've actually spent quite a significant part of my life, so I have encountered policing system in Bangladesh, and I've encountered policing system in the UK, and obviously there's a significant difference, and by the books, like theoretically speaking, of course, the policing rules and the regs are pretty much similar to UK and Bangladesh. However, there are protocols in place because we actually have a watchdog, policing watchdog. It's very difficult for the police to go outside the rule book and conduct lots of things which we see in Bangladesh regularly happening. It's just because Bangladesh probably doesn't have an independent police watchdog commission where the general public like you and me can approach if we get treated unfairly by the police. However, in this country, if you're treated unfairly, you actually have legal ground to launch official complaints against them. Now, I'm sure the system is in Bangladesh too, but it's not widely practiced. But in England, I've seen it widely being practiced. That's the major difference that I've actually noticed.
Right. When you talk about the rule book, I've seen that in the United States as well. The job of a police is to go after the miscreants, arrest the bad people, and produce them to the court. Now, in the process, what happens is if you, let's say, cops or police are coming after you and they're trying to catch you or they're trying to have an interaction with you or detain you, whatever, So if you do cooperate, then everything goes smooth, unless there's this very small percentage of people or the workforce in the police who actually go out of their way to do the not the right thing. But in general, what happens is it's in their training as well. Like whenever police is approaching individuals, if they find that person guilty or suspect them for anything, what they do is they arrest you. They detain you, they arrest you, and they process you. They send you to court. They may keep you in jail and whatnot. That's the process. Unless you fight or resist arrest or fight back, they do not usually exert force on you. Yes, they do exert force on you, which is seen sometimes. So what I'm trying to say here is in the United Kingdom, in the United States, the police, they are walking around with a lot of firepower, a lot of stuff. So they mean business. I mean, they're not gonna just go ahead and make a judgment on you, like a judge, or magistrate. Their simple job is to apprehend you, catch you, book you, take you to the police station, maybe detain you for some time, and then produce you to the court. And the court decides whether you're guilty or not, with the evidence and stuff. But from the news, from the people, from personal experiences, what we see here in Bangladesh, a lot of policemen or women seem to forget that for some reason. Also, people seem to accept it also. What it is when you see a policeman, people think we can complain to them and they're going to solve the problems. Most of the time it happens. So as a result, it does not, they don't keep themselves limited to the capturing and producing to the court. What happens is they get involved with this judgmental activity, and that's when it gets mixed up.
They forget the fact that you're innocent until proven guilty.
Right, and then the things that are supposed to happen in the courtroom, it looks like in the field they're deciding who's guilty, who's not. They're deciding who to beat up and who not to beat up. They're deciding who's right and who is wrong. And of course, a lot of other things are there in between which are not by the book, but
কোথাও যাচ্ছেন, আপনার যানবাহনের সিট খালি আছে, আপনি যে পথে যাচ্ছেন সে পথেই হয়তো আপনারই কোনো প্রতিবেশী যাচ্ছেন। tripshiptask.com এ পোস্ট করে দিন আপনার পছন্দসই এবং এনআইডি ভেরিফাইড কাউকে সাথে নিয়ে নিন। যাত্রাপথ নিরাপদ হলো, সেই সাথে খরচটিও কমে গেল। নিরাপদে নিশ্চিন্তে ভ্রমণ করুন। মোবাইল অ্যাপ ডাউনলোড করুন প্লে স্টোর থেকে TripShipTask without any space.
I think this is something that do you think it happens because of people's ignorance about the law or the role of police, or do you think it's a culture that, or how do you perceive it, or how do you people in the United Kingdom perceive it now, seeing all these things that are happening in Bangladesh?
So you're probably asking me to talk about UK policing, right?
Both. We all know what happens in Bangladesh. We all know what happens in Bangladesh, how far they take it in the police with the people and stuff. Now, well, you can say sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's unnecessary, but most of the time there is no monitoring system. Most of the time there is no monitoring system. They do whatever they feel like. Or even if there is a monitoring system, most of the people are or were, whatever you want to say, kind of the same. So it's like, if I complain to you about one of your employees, what do in the United Kingdom? You take measure against your employee so that that employee does not do anything wrong again. So in Bangladesh, what happens if you file a complaint to me about my employee? Most of the time I'm going against you, against the customer, and kind of supporting my team member, even though it's wrong, so that's what happens. So yeah, I mean, in the United Kingdom, you can shed light on both, how it's done in the United Kingdom.
So, number one, I've actually so far noted down 4 different points that you've spoken about so far within that question, right? Number one, in essence, you're probably referring to police brutality. What we know about police brutality.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Police brutality, there's no denial. Police brutality exists in the USA, in the UK, in the Middle East, in every single part of the country.
Yes, it does.
You cannot mention one country where police brutality does not exist to at least a minimum certain level.
Well, that's the whole point of policing. I mean, that's why the name police is there, because it's policing. You gotta have some brutality in there. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. So you're probably talking about police brutality and how often do we get to see that in the UK? Well, not very often, but it does happen. Not as often as Bangladesh, unfortunately, to say so. I'm really sorry, actually, because Bangladesh being my, birthplace and all, and at the end of the day, it is my motherland, and she is my motherland. I love Bangladesh very much. Now, it doesn't mean that, I can just cover up all the wrongdoings in Bangladesh. We have to still speak out. We need to speak up, to speak out, to raise public awareness. That's probably the whole point of our today's show,
right.
Today's discussion. So police brutality, it does exist, not to the extent we see in Bangladesh, where we definitely have some police brutality, racial based on racial background. They already have judged you. They've already sussed you out, and they've already made up their mind what to do with you, whether you're criminal or not. Just because of your racial background, they have made a judgment of their own, and they will action it. And number two, you've spoken about how that brings me to the policing watchdog topic. You have to understand, this is very, very important. In Bangladesh, the main difference in the police work is the whole policing system is not independent. They are solely reliant on all the political leaders. Can you imagine in Bangladesh, if I'm a son of a member of parliament, forget about ministers and cabinet ministers and, party leaders, even if I'm a son of a chairman in Bangladesh, and if my party is in power, so they're running the government, do you know that it practically becomes impossible for police to come and arrest you? The laws are there, the rules are there, they should be equal to anyone. Even if you're the prime minister, there are certain protocols. We need to have solid evidence, solid proof against you. We have to get a warrant issued by, an independent judiciary system, which again in Bangladesh, judiciary system, policing system, both are unfortunately fully
Before you
reliant.
even go to the judiciary system in the United States, I've seen internal affairs. They take care of the investigation part of the police.
Yeah.
In Bangladesh, there is something called PIB, Police Investigation Bureau or some sort.
In the Bureau
PBI.
of But I
Now,
was under the impression that they only deal with cold cases, aren't they?
I'm not sure,
They,
but the
they,
whole point is,
the PBI is not an internal affairs department
no, it's
in
not.
Bangladesh.
So they do investigate the cases,
PBI is something like
particular cases.
FBI. They
Correct,
actually
something like
just
that.
sold that whole
But
concept.
who is monitoring the police department? Who is saying, okay, you did wrong, so this is this is a home ministry of Bangladesh. That's what it is.
Mhm.
But the mechanism, how functional is it to so that people who are working in the police department, are they scared? Like, okay, if I do this thing wrong, I'm gonna get this result. Most of the time what
Yeah.
happens is you get closed from one location, you join in another location, and job continues and whatnot, maybe under some kind of
Yeah.
investigation.
Is this Bangladesh you're talking about?
Yeah,
Is this Bangladesh you're talking about? Okay,
correct.
cool. Yeah. Because police in the UK are also worried
Mhm.
about doing things wrongly, because they're accountable to
There's the word
they have
accountable
accountability.
in Bangladesh. The word accountability, that's what the question
Does not
is.
exist.
Well, well, time,
No,
I don't want to say
accountability does
totally does not
exist.
exist, but at the same time, it's the word that is rarely seen, practiced, or it's you get if you're a policeman, working in police department, you get a lot of flexibility in that area, which you're probably not going to get in the United States or United Kingdom. Uh,
Now, you have to strictly maintain protocols. The rules are so strict. They
right.
cannot do certain things. Well, they cannot do most of the things what a Bangladesh police can do.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, as a civilian, you can do something in the developed countries. But in Bangladesh, as a civilian, you can do only so many things. Now, that also depends on how wealthy you are, how intelligent you are, how powerful you are, how what level of connections you're walking around with. So yeah, please continue.
I'm only saying that when we compare uh, any civilized society police work with Bangladesh police work, or India or Pakistan, or mostly South Asian countries, there's no comparison. There is no comparison at all. We cannot just stress enough how different police work is. However, crime level is much lower than Bangladesh. You may blame it on corruptions, poverty, whatnot, but I really don't think so. So, you're talking about firepower. So one of the four topics that you were asking me about in a blanket form, you also mentioned firepower. So, you'll be surprised to know in the UK, you will not see a police carrying a gun. They
Is
will
that
use
so?
pepper spray.
Mhm.
They will electrocute it with the
With
what do they call this?
zapper,
The zapper, yeah, that thing. And but they
or
will
taser,
not use firepower.
right?
Taser, that's the word I was looking for.
Mhm.
So when they tase someone, they have to fill out so many paperwork.
Right.
You cannot even imagine. Because if the case goes to police watchdog, which is an independent police watchdog, means they watch
The
over police.
supervisors, they're
It's almost like
supervising their
internal
actions and
affairs.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're completely independent. They
Mhm.
are not part of police team at
Right.
all. But they have IA, which is internal affairs.
Mhm.
They're employed by the police.
Mhm.
But policing watchdog is completely a different organization who will basically scrutinize police work, just to ensure that they stay within their protocols, they maintain the protocols right, and us civilians do not get unfairly treated. So
Right.
that's the whole
Now,
point of
whatever
having
we're
police work.
discussing here, we're not working with the police. We do not work as a policeman. What we have seen, experienced in different countries, uh, we're just shedding some light on them. Now, uh, the whole point of this conversation is, for me, is for public awareness. People need to understand what their limit is, what they can do and what they cannot do. So people in United Kingdom, United States, they're quite, I guess most of them are quite aware of what to do, what not to do, how far they can go and what not. But in Bangladesh, people, understanding the limit or the capacity of
কোথাও যাচ্ছেন? tripshiptask.com এ পোস্ট করে দিন। একই পথে গন্তব্যরত কোনো নন প্রফেশনাল ব্যক্তির সাথে কানেক্টেড হয়ে চলে যান। আপনার পছন্দসই এবং এনআইডি ভেরিফাইড কারো কাছ থেকে রাইড নিন। নিরাপদে নিশ্চিন্তে ভ্রমণ করুন। যাত্রাপথ নিরাপদ হলো, সেই সাথে খরচটিও কমে গেল। মোবাইল অ্যাপ ডাউনলোড করুন প্লে স্টোর থেকে TripShipTask without any space.
police. I mean, I guess sometimes what people do, they position police in a place, so the police automatically goes to that place and starts exercising what they're not supposed to do. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
I will try to just say one thing. Instead of us discussing or comparing police work to Western countries, well, in this case, today's case, it's UK, United Kingdom. I can pinpoint to you all the problems the Bangladeshi police are facing, but UK police isn't.
Yeah, please do.
The differences are, number one, you have to understand that in this country, in the UK, no matter how rich you are, you cannot obtain a firearm carrying license. In Bangladesh, you can.
We can. Yep.
And because you can, there are lots of illegal firearms unregistered flying about in Bangladesh. Anybody can buy firearms. It's not that easy in the UK. Trust me, I've tried because I was in the business world. I used to manage nightclubs and very difficult businesses I've run actually in my past, and I had tried to obtain a firearms permit. The thing is that if you're filthy rich, you hire security. They will have firearms license. They're usually ex-military. All of them are ex-Navy or ex-Army officers.
Right.
So they will retire and they will join security forces. So they will be your personal bodyguards. Most celebrities you will see will have bouncers around them and also armed security. And in order to achieve hire an armed security team, you need to tell the government and the police. You have to have hundreds of pages of explanation. But why you need them? Just because somebody called you and threatened you with your life, you cannot just get a firearmed security services. You can't do that. So we have lots of knife crimes here. Knife crimes are on the rise, definitely. But firearms, you hardly ever hear it. About gunfight, that usually doesn't happen. The exceptions cannot be examples. So you will probably just Google it. You'll be like, hey, I can see hundreds of cases here in, firearms cases in the UK. Yes, you will. But comparing to 1 million, 100 is nothing. So I would say these are minimals. It's unmentionable, really. But in Bangladesh, you will see if we get 1 million cases, this is by the way, figuratively speaking, purely, I do not know exact numbers right now. But in Bangladesh, if we have 1 million cases here, in Bangladesh, we have 10 million or more. And I'm 100% sure at least more than half of them would be firearms cases, firearms involved, whether it's made in the country, it's a local made pipe gun and whatnot they call it, or foreign, but they will have firearms, even if with simple mugging. You will not imagine in UK that you're walking from the station to your house, you got mugged, and the guy produced a gun. If you can call the police and say you were pointed a gun at you, you can be 100% sure that crook is going to get arrested within the next 24 to 48 hours. I do not know how they do it. They have magical power, but they will make it happen just because he was carrying a gun. But in the same scenario, if you go to the police and you say, oh, I got mugged at a knife point, there are chances that that guy will not get arrested. The police probably will keep on looking for him, probably will take 3 months to get him arrested, maybe not. They will not use their resources. Their resources are very valuable, very expensive. So they are not going to use their resources based on a knife crime where you were not hurt. You were just mugged and probably 200 or 500 pounds worth of stuff got mugged from you. They're not going to pay much attention. But even if you didn't get mugged, but someone pointed a gun at you,
They're
with
gonna
the
find out.
intention of mugging,
They're gonna
and
find out
then
who's carrying the gun.
end up mugging you. Yeah, somehow you run away. The mugging didn't even take place, but just because you saw a gun was present at the scenario, whether it's a toy gun or not, the word gun has been mentioned. The police will arrest him in the next 24 to 48 hours. They can do whatever they like. Remember when we were growing up in Bangladesh, I don't know if your elders have said that, but I heard it's from so many, senior friends, elders, that if Bangladesh police wants, they can make crime disappear within 24 hours. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Growing up in Bangladesh, you did, right? If they want, everything happened. Even your motorbike gets stolen, the police knows about it. Police knows exactly who operated in that area, which team, because they get a nice chunk of envelope, paid to them weekly or on a daily basis, I don't know. And they will know who's done it, who's in charge of the area, where that product got sold, that stolen product, whether it's Karan Bajar or Dholaikal. Dholaikal, right?
Yeah, that's the name,
Right?
but things may have changed.
Yeah,
They got
but,
different locations now, probably.
I haven't been to Dholaikal for a long time, actually. What I'm trying to say is that the police will know where the
Yeah,
stolen
they got
goods are
informants.
bought and
I'm
sold.
sure they got informants in
Yeah,
different
and
places.
so they can arrest anyone. Why don't they do that? They're probably getting their priorities right. So I heard, for example, when the Padda Setu was built, Padda Bridge, and obviously it was a amazing thing happened. I have to thank Sheikh Hasina for that. However, it was going to happen anyway, regardless if it was Amelie League or not. It's just development happens over time. So anyway, when Padda Setu was completed and Sheikh Hasina was paying a visit, our ex-PM was paying a visit there, I have heard cases where people went to them with some serious crime reports. The police didn't have time for them. They actually said, so sorry, PM's coming. We are already very, very stressed. Can you just go home? Don't bother us with these petty crimes. But they were not petty crimes. They were murder cases which were being ignored. And that led to the actual criminal, the murderer, being able to flee away. Just because the police didn't act on time. Why? Because the PM was paying a visit in that neighborhood. Now, this is not going to happen in the UK. This is definitely not happening. If it's a murder case, the police of the UK will take it seriously. They will find the culprit by hook or by crook. And they will do that. And they usually are very successful in that. When they put their resources in, there's no way you can actually get away from it. You cannot get away by committing a crime. But in Bangladesh, you can, because there's the bribery that needs to be stopped. In the UK, bribery takes place? I do not know. Maybe it does. Otherwise, why drugs are being sold in the street? How come still criminals are, about doing their businesses, right? So clearly, but those briberies are probably done in such a strict manner,
or in a level where you cannot even imagine, because it doesn't go all the way down to the food chain. Yeah,
they're probably bribed right at the top, and somehow everyone else get a chunk of it, and it's done so secretly. There's no way. This is pretty much non-existent. Nobody can prove in writing that UK police accepts bribe. There's no way, absolutely no way. And so civil servants. So I used to work in the real estate business where people used to come offer me bribes under the table to book a property. So when you actually have in certain area, there are certain properties come out. We don't get many properties growing like mushrooms, like in Bangladesh, without planning permission and whatnot. And our rules are very strict for the building regs are very strict. So our properties are very sought after, especially in London zone 1, 2, 3.
right.
So those properties go very quickly. They get snapped up, but very, very quickly by property investors. Now when they try to book a property, they want to eliminate competition. So most of the state agents, we call them state agents here, sales state agents in the real estate, they will be offered bribes. But you know what? Even in a real estate market, our regulations were so strict, rules were so strict about accepting bribes that after I've completed on a property, meaning I helped you buy a property and you're so happy, you came to see me with a box of chocolate and a bouquet of flower. So you're giving me a bunch of flowers as a gift to say thank you, right?
Right.
I'm not allowed to accept it. I'm not allowed to accept it. If that value exceeds more than £20, that bouquet of flower which you're giving me, the bouquet of flowers and a box of chocolate combined together exceeds the value of £20, I have to declare that as my income and have to pay tax on it. It's a taxable gift, it becomes. So imagine if it's a private company, a private real estate company has such a strict measure regarding bribery. So how stricter do you think the police, UK police, should have?
What do you reckon? What do you think a solution should be to curb whatever is going on, anything unjust or bribery or racketeering or whatever in the police department in
You guys know
Bangladesh?
the answers. All Bangladeshis know the answer. Anyone who is a little aware, who has little common sense, knows the answer already.
Yeah, what's that?
You know it. You know it.
What is it?
My question is, how come Bangladesh army cannot be bought by bribes? Don't talk about the corrupt army officials doing the fascist regime. I'm talking about the army which you and I grew up to know. The real Bangladesh army, the patriotic ones, yeah? How come they cannot go to a hairdresser and shout at the barber unfairly? They can fairly, they can. Unfairly, they can't. I've tried to buy a car. I paid a deposit. Later on, that army captain in Bangladesh, decided not to give me the car. You probably remember that story. I'm not sure. I had told you before, a long time ago. It was a Toyota Celica. It's trying to buy a car from a captain in cantonment. Now the captain changed his mind. He took a deposit and everything like that and decided not to give my car. And they're not giving my money back either for a very long time. After 3 months, all I...
ফ্রি আছেন? আপনি যে বিষয়ে দক্ষ সেই সার্ভিস অফার করুন tripshiptest.com এর মাধ্যমে। এই প্ল্যাটফর্মেরই কোনো এনআইডি ভেরিফাইড ইউজারের কাজটি করে দিন, সেই সাথে ইনকামও করুন। মোবাইল অ্যাপ ডাউনলোড করুন প্লে স্টোর থেকে ট্রিপশিপ টাস্ক without any space.
I had to do just to speak to a major of army and gave his details to him. The next day he called and gave my money back within less than 24 hours. Why? Because when you make a complaint against an army official,
they take measures.
They know this is going to go into their HR book. It will go into the record. It will impact their future promotions. And I know they might even lose their jobs. I don't know the extent of the punishment is, but they will be disciplined very harshly.
Yeah, that's the word, discipline.
So in the Navy, in the Army, in the Air Force, how come they cannot take bribes? 2 reasons. First of all, they are not governed by the government, by the rule book. Yeah. They are not corrupted like our judiciary system and police system. And second of all, people might actually, I know a lot of people will disagree with this, but I know what I'm talking about. Exceptions cannot be examples. There's a group of army officers who were working for the fascist regime. That cannot be counted. I'm just saying why in the last 20, deduct minus 16 years, why, how come we grew up to know that army officers they cannot be bribed. They can be bribed in millions of pounds in an arms contract dealing when they're buying, 4 fighter jets. Maybe they're getting some commissions with the ration they are. But general public cannot. When an MP stops me at a checkpost in Cantonment 3rd Gate, Jahangir Gate, I cannot bribe no matter what amount I offer them. They're not going to let me in if they think that I'm a threat for the cantonment. Or I'm lying to him. I'm saying, I'll go to cantonment house number 1 or wherever address I've given them, road number 1. And if they think I'm lying, there's no amount of cash I can offer them to let me in. How is that? You answer me that.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I just wanted to make...
What stops them? What stops them from...
It's the policy within the organization. The policy within the organization, the structure, the way it's run. That's the way it is.
The way it's run. So I think we need to run the police exactly the way we run Bangladesh Army now.
Right, exactly. I agree, totally. You're right.
Even in a bazaar in Kochuket, I have actually witnessed an army officer in uniform will not get into a public case. There were some arguments were going on. Somehow they were army officers and they went to that guy, here's a fight going on, come involved. It was just a bit between a shopkeeper and it was not a serious fight. but it was some kind of a chaotic atmosphere.
Mhm.
So when lots of people were moving away from the place, and army officers in uniform didn't get involved. They said, call the police.
Right.
It's not our job. However, we can stop the fight as a good citizen of the country,
Mhm.
but not as an army officer. I've witnessed that myself.
Yeah.
So they have their ethics and principles. They have their code of conduct, and then they will not come out of it.
Right.
So I think the police need same kind of restructuring, same kind of training, same kind of brainwashing. Although brainwash is a negative term,
Right.
however, I couldn't find a better
Training.
word for it, to be honest.
Coaching, monitoring,
Coaching, yeah.
accountability, ensuring accountability.
Absolutely, we need to drill this idea into their head. We need to drill them in it.
Right.
Now, I have no other, I cannot think of any ideas actually how to fix our police work. And to make matters worse, the police have lost the reliability, the faith, the trust.
Let me throw another question to you. Let us know how you feel about it. Bangladeshi people are very unruly. What's your take on that?
That's because lack of literacy, lack of education.
That's one. Yeah. And how you fix that?
Lack of education. I've just answered you. We need to educate. So we need in a primary school, in secondary, if not primary school, at least from secondary school onwards, in the high school, we definitely need a subject of public awareness, political awareness, citizens' rights. As a citizen, what is your rights? We need to make them aware, and we need to make them aware of patriotism, not just by selling the story of 1971 freedom fighting. I'm not disrespecting them. With due respect, I'm saying 1971 was in 1971. This is 2025. Lots of us have not witnessed the tortures or the
right. What went on in 1971, right?
Yeah. So we haven't actually witnessed the Pakistani tortures.
We gotta move forward, not lean back. That's
exactly the point. Now it's been half a century now. Come on, man. It's been half a century. It's 50 years on, and we cannot just keep going back to 1971. We are a generation. We need to prosper now. We need to grow ourselves up, right? So we
walk forward.
I'm not saying not to teach the history of 1971. Don't get me wrong.
No,
1971 is very, very important. But equally important is your citizens' right, the awareness of your rights. Do you know what your rights are when the police comes and asks you?
Interestingly, when I was, let me tell you a story. I was taking a class in Bangladesh, like 7 or 8 years from now, 8 years back. I had a bunch of private university students in front of me, right? Most of them were doing their bachelor's, probably in their second year or something. I asked, do you know what kind of rights do you have as a citizen? Trust me, none of them raised their hands. I was, what should I say, surprised or astonished? I was saying, like, do you know what human right is? What do you know you have human rights? None of them responded. I'm like, what are human rights? What are human rights? Tell me. None of them responded. So, I mean, I'm talking about university students, private university students who pay a lot of money to go to those top level university students. I'm not talking about middle range university students. If that's the situation in the private university, top level private universities, what you gonna talk about people in general? Probably people don't even know what.
We need a textbook subject called citizens' rights and
human rights and all that. I agree.
Not human rights. Human rights is a global term. Right now, we want to talk about
citizens' rights.
Citizens' rights. If you're a Bangladeshi citizen, you have these set of rights.
Right.
Automatically, you inherit them, right? And you can exercise those rights.
Well,
so when the police comes and approaches you, you need to know based on what ground.
There's a news. There's a news. Did you hear that? It's for passports, you had to have there used to be police verification. Now they lifted it. There is no police verification needed for getting a passport in Bangladesh now. So that's
Do you think is that a good thing or bad thing?
I think that's a good
In your
thing. I
opinion?
mean, why would you need a police verification in the middle? There's no point. You got your national ID. That's it. I mean, you apply for a passport. You're a citizen of the country. It's already established. You got a photo ID, and that's just another form of ID. That's it. Why do you need a police verification for that? A lot of other things are there. We're gonna get into that later. Like for example, your character certificate. Your chairman, local chairman, who you probably never met in your whole life, is giving you a character certificate. That's really funny.
So your character certificates can be obtained in the UK from your local Ministry of Religion. So it could be your imam from the mosque
Correct.
or priest from the church.
Correct.
Um,
That's how it should
you
work.
can, you can go to your GP, which is general physician. So we have allocated doctors for the families, so we have to register
Family
ourselves. And we
doctor.
have to keep using
Right.
him. If we move to a different area, you register yourselves with a different physician, right?
Right.
So our physicians will have all our medical files and everything.
Exactly.
And then you can go to your accountant, you can go to your lawyers, solicitors. Everyone has an accountant and solicitors if they're conducting their own businesses and stuff. And when what police verification does, police verifies that this guy is doing nothing dodgy. So I'm not applying a passport on your name. What I'm really concerned about is Bangladesh police has lost their respect, this place of respect due to the recent activities they've done. Even today morning, I was looking at a Facebook footage came out, recently leaked out, and I was watching it. It was police officers, man. It was police officers coming out of police cars in their uniforms with their full-on riot gears, literally shooting at people's open fires towards thousands of people. How crazy are they? Like seriously, after that, they've all did a runner. So they knew that they did something wrong, right? So after the interim government is taken over, Sheikh Hasina fled. Now they realize, oh my God, so there's no one to save us now. So what we do, we also run. And they've run, and that's made the matter worse. You know why? If they didn't run.
কোথাও কিছু পাঠাতে চাচ্ছেন কিন্তু রেগুলার কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস ব্যবহার করতে চাচ্ছেন না, tripshiptask.com এ পোস্ট করে দিন। এনআইডি ভেরিফাইড ইউজার সিলেক্ট করে নিরাপদে নিশ্চিন্তে আপনার প্যাকেজটি পাঠিয়ে দিন। tripshiptask.com ডেলিভারি করে না। এই প্ল্যাটফর্মের সম্মানিত ইউজারগণ একে অপরকে হেল্প করে, সেই সাথে ইনকামও করে। No home delivery, members only carry point-to-point open legal items. Mobile app download করুন প্লে স্টোর থেকে TripShipTask without any space.
If they face the consequences by their internal affairs, disciplinary, losing their jobs, transfers, whatever you talk about, if they had faced them, what would have happened? At least we, general public, would have that respect, that fear factor, that rest from the place of respect. You're police, I'm scared of you, I don't want to be rude to you. Have you noticed how people are being rude to police now? And police are scared to actually, police should not be operating from a place of fear. Police should be like, in the UK, police behaves really nicely with you, talks very nicely with you, unless you're a criminal, because they're following the protocols. They do not want to escalate the situations. They don't need to show any aggressive behavior if they don't have to. Let's put it this way. But Bangladeshi police, they were so aggressive right from the start, now, and they're so nice to the public. It's like
upside down now.
Turning point, isn't it? From black to white. And what has happened? They have eventually, in the process, have lost that fear factor. The fear factor is a negative word, but I know what I'm talking about. That fear factor is very important for unruly general public of Bangladesh.
I agree.
Because of the country and its status.
Yeah, it all boils down to education, knowledge, and of course, on the other side, it's accountability.
But I'd like to, before we go, I'd like to highlight one very, very important point. Now, most of the Bangladeshis will not understand the graveness, the seriousness of this point, but I'd still like to stress, I cannot stress this enough. Have you ever seen in Bangladesh or India or Pakistan when let's say the police have found you have committed a crime, they have found a concrete evidence, and based on this evidence, they have ground to ask for a warrant being issued. So warrant is being issued by the judiciary system, as we know, and there's a warrant
Yeah, there
department
is.
in the judiciary system. I'm not sure if you know,
Right.
but very easy usually. The police basically can obtain a warrant even in the middle of the night. They can obtain a warrant, but they have to make an application, and the judge sees the evidence, sees based on what grounds are you asking for seeking
Right.
this warrant to issue this citizen, right? Now, if the judge feels, the magistrate feels that, yeah, it's a concrete ground, clearly, this is good proof, this is good evidence, fair enough, I'll issue a warrant. Now, warrant is being issued, and the police comes to arrest you at your home, right? Have you ever been read your rights? Like, Mr. Zakir Hossain, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain quiet. You don't have
Never.
to say
I've
anything.
never
Anything
heard
you
about
say
it.
or do will be
I
used
don't
against
think
you
anybody has ever heard about it.
maliciously or unmaliciously in
Even
the
in the
court.
media, in the dramas, and in the show, TV shows, and all the cinemas and stuff, nobody has heard about it. I think what people hear is, "Let's go to the police station. We'll talk there." Right? That's what's up.
So how come I'm being detained, but I'm not being read my rights? That's why we citizens, we do not have a clue what to do now. So what we need to do in the UK and in the USA, you know that, and you can watch
Yeah, it's called
foreign
Miranda rights
movies
in the
as well.
United States. So
When
yeah,
they
they
make an
do, and
arrest,
there's a
they
process. I
read
mean,
the
there's a
rights
process.
of the
There's a
victim
case
or the
number.
criminal. You have
Collect.
the rights to remain
Correct.
silent. Anything you say or do will be used against you in the court. Blah, 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 blah.
Correct. And
You are
you just
entitled to
don't
one phone
disappear. There's a
call
process.
and
You
a
go to the
one
court.
solicitor,
There's a
one
process to
one
contact
lawyer.
you and the whatnot.
So if you want to bring any change, Mr. Hossain, in Bangladesh, I cannot stress this enough. First, get the police to read the rights to the citizens before they make an arrest. Get that happen, and I tell you, Mr. Hossain, there will be some changes. I'm very hopeful. If you can only make that happen, only that one particular line.
And
Before
show
every
the
single arrest, you
warrant
must
before
read
arresting someone, right?
their rights, the citizens' rights, that you have the rights to remain silent.
Well, you sound very optimistic.
Oh yes, of course, of course. In
No,
the
it's
UK, do you know if
in
we have
Bangladesh,
one
it's the
issue,
same
they
scenario, but
cannot
it's
get
not that
basic
easy.
information.
It's
And all these
possible,
gangsters turning
maybe
up, the
difficult.
policing
Thank
who
you, Mr. Afzal, for
participated,
being with
whether
us
online,
and
offline,
expressing
or in the
your
field
thoughts
in
and
the
ideas.
July Revolution.
Hopefully,
So
we'll
thank you
get
so
together
much,
again
Bangladesh.
and speak.
We are proud of you. All right, so we've talked for today, and hopefully you'd invite me on a different topic. I'd be very, very interested in to discuss the current situations in
Absolutely,
Bangladesh
absolutely,
and the recent fall of the
absolutely.
fascist
Let's make time
government.
for. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hussain, and I'd like to show my appreciation and gratefulness and thankfulness to the student community of Bangladesh, to the general public of Bangladesh who actually enabled a fascist regime to fall. And I'd like to thank the police. They're trying their best now, but they could have done better before.
You have a good day now.